Hello everyone, this is Dr. Watson, and in this video I'm going to give you a brief tutorial of how to use the electronic databases to search for articles through the CCSU library homepage. So let's start off by going to the library main page. If you go to the quick links button in the top of the screen, right of the screen on our CCSU homepage, you can find a set of links here. Select library. And then, since you're going to be using this a lot, you may want to bookmark this location. I'm going to forego going over how to search in the regular catalog system. I think that you can probably figure this one out on your own, but feel free to contact me if you have any questions about anything. We're going to focus on databases, electronic databases for journals and magazines from professional associations and various other sources that are of value to us. So if you click on the database tab like I just did, you can see that there is a alphabetical listing, and you can look up different databases by their name, but you kind of need to know what their name is first. So I'm going to highlight a few that I think are of particular value and use to us. You can also look by subject. So if we try that, you can see that we can select education. Click submit, and a good number of things will pop up. I want to point out a few in particular here, and then I'm actually going to go out of this and show you a general database that I think is useful to use as well. So a few databases that are of particular value to us are education full text. We'll come back to that in a minute. I'm going to scroll down here. Psych articles and psych tests are very valuable later on, probably not so much right now. Psych articles provides a lot of articles from journals that are focused on psychology, so if you're interested in things related to educational psychology, various topics related to learning often, straight psychological issues related to students, social emotional learning, self-efficacy, a variety of other things, psych articles could be a good place to go in addition to the formal education databases. Later on, when you get into doing some more research, psych tests is a good database for you. I'm not going to go into either of these two right now, but later on this one can be useful. Psych tests can give you access to actual research instruments that are public domain that you can use for your own research. They're not protected by copyright privileges and that not proprietary, so you don't have to buy them or anything like that. You can just go straight out and use them. The other, it's not coming up here. I'll show it to you in another area. So let's go back up here and let's look at education full text. You could also find this one just by going to E on the alphabet index. I'm going to show you. Most of the journals will work with a fairly similar interface, but some are a little bit different. I'm logging on from off campus, so I actually have to log in. If you're at one of the CSU schools, you have to put in your full email address for your user ID, and then password, same one you use for your email, and log in. If you're accessing the libraries on campus and you're on the network, then you usually won't be prompted to log in. Okay, so this is the search interface that comes up when you're using education full text. And what I'm going to do is put in some search terms in here and then in a couple other databases so you can compare the types of results that we get that come up. So let's say we were interested in culturally relevant, and you can see a lot of suggestions come up. And this is one reason why your search terms and keywords are important. We could look under culturally relevant pedagogy, or we could look under culturally relevant teaching. I'm going to pick teaching just because that term, culturally relevant teaching, has been used for a little bit longer and we might get more hits, but you'd want to compare between different combinations of terms if you're trying to do a more comprehensive literature search. So well, I'm going to pick that. Right here you can select whether you want to be searching in any field within the specific title. This can help you find something if you know what the title is, or if you want to look up a specific author. If I'm just doing kind of an open search, I just leave the field open and it looks for those terms anywhere in the abstract, title, or text of the article. A variety of search features are available down here that you can use to filter. Let's limit to full text. That'll bring up only entries that we can access the full text to. And that's very convenient. You can limit to peer-reviewed journals. We'll talk a little bit more later in classes about what peer-reviewed means. I'm going to leave that unchecked for right now so we can get a broader range of hits. Let's go ahead and narrow down the publishing date, though. Let's say from the year 2000 through 2017. Look at the past 17 years and see what comes up. I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to click search. And these are how our results come up. You have a variety of options within search results to look at different types of information. You can see the highlights of the article that come up in the initial window. If you click on an article that comes up, then you have even more choices. Most of the articles are available in PDF, a downloadable PDF, or they're available through an on-screen HTML format. PDF is by far the most common now. You can see what comes up before you go to a full text is you can see the abstract of the article, which is sometimes all you need to look at to see if something's going to be of interest or not. If you find, this is useful to know, if you find a particular journal that you like that's helpful, you can click on the link for that journal and you can just go browsing through issues of the journal. You have a variety of tools to the right that you can use. You can connect to your Google Drive. You can save and mark citations or export them to different tools like EndNote, which I brought up before, which is a software tool that you can use to import citations into and collect them and basically maintain your own archive and library of sources that you come up with. And if you decide you want an article, you can simply click on the full text link and it'll come up and you can save it in whatever way your computer saves it. For me, it's just right down here. Click on that to download it on my Mac, and then you've got the article. However, a couple things I want to show you. When you look at the PDF of an article, it may not give you all of the citation information that you need. So you don't want to just download PDFs and then forget the rest of the information. So you want to know where it came from. So if we go back, you can see that there's more information available in terms of the complete citation here. And then for articles that do have a DOI, which we were talking about in class, the digital indicator, you can find that information here as well, although a lot of the articles now do have that in the downloadable PDF as well. If we go back to our, can click right here to go back to our results list, and you could keep going down through the hits that you have. Now, one temptation when you first begin searching for articles in databases is just to look at the first few pages. Typically, you're going to see a combination of, in terms of the order of the results that come up, you're going to see things that are a balance of what's most recent and what is most relevant to the terms that you put in. But sometimes if you go further down through the pages, you can find a lot more. So I'd go down into further pages after I've looked at a few. I wouldn't just stop there. So for instance, if I went to page 5, I'd keep looking until I really didn't see too many other results. If you go a little bit further, you can see from what's highlighted in the entry links that what was coming up was really culturally relevant. So I wanted something more specific. I was specifically looking for culturally relevant teaching. So I could go back up through the results and kind of look for where that seemed to stop. You can see some other results here that still not quite exactly what we want. So I'd go back a little bit further and kind of see where that ended. But you also want to think about using different combinations of search terms. It may be that you want to look under pedagogy as well, or you want to narrow it down to high school or elementary school or urban schools, or for a particular period of time, or for a particular demographic. These are all things that you could do within your search terms. Although you have to be careful, because if you get too specific, then you may be looking for a combination of exact language that's not going to quite come up in the databases. All right, so that's education full text. That's one good source of full text article information. I'm going to go back. There are a couple different ways to go back to the databases. You can click on the CCSU library page. It takes you all the way back out to the homepage of the library and go back in, or you can hit the back button and just go back to where you wanted to start from. I'm going to go back to the library. Click on the database link again. So I showed you education full text. Another one that I want to show you, which didn't come up in our results because it covers a lot of areas other than just education, is under S, and that is Sage Premier. Sage Premier includes a lot of different journals that are published by Sage, but what's really important for us is that it includes the journals that are published by the American Educational Research Association, or AERA. Those are the journals that are typically considered the most prestigious, high-level, top-notch journals for education publishing. So you can be pretty guaranteed that you're looking at solid quality research and scholarship there. They have a variety of different journals. You can, once you get in there, you can narrow down by discipline if you want to, but I find that with the Sage database, I'm usually okay just putting in the terms I want. Now you could just put in terms right here, or you could click on Advanced Search, and it will open up a window that has similar features to what we were looking at before in education full text. So again, here, just like before, you can select where in the article information you want to be looking for the terms. I'm just going to say anywhere. I'm going to put in the same language, and we'll see what comes up in Sage. Sage covers different journals that are in education full text. Sometimes in the general databases you'll see overlap between them, but these two tend to be completely independent. And you wouldn't know this unless someone pointed these out to you. So I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to go ahead and choose that same range again that we had before, so we can kind of compare results 2000 to 2017. And we'll say only content I have full access to. That means that we get full text. And click on search. And you can see that the look of the search results is a bit different. Well, actually, this shows me something that I want to draw your attention to. This first hit that comes up comes from Sage Open. When you see the word open in relationship to journals, it means it's an open access journal. Those are journals that are easier to publish in and easier to get access to. The drawback is that since it's easier to get published in, there tends to be lesser quality research that shows up in open access journals. I'm going to show you how to weed that out of your search results. If we go back, I neglected to do this. Before, actually, if you go back to access type, you can't screen out the open access, but you could select just for open access if you wanted to. So we're going to have to consciously avoid that. So we'll go back to search. It's just my personal opinion to avoid those open areas. So if we look down from urban education, we'll We see an article on culturally relevant science teaching. Little tools down here can give us access to the abstract, the full text document, any associated supplemental material that might be available. Click on the link for the article and you'll see more detailed publishing information. We'll have the abstract again, and you can also download the PDF over here. Now some of these journals, if you access them online but you weren't going through the database, you wouldn't see the same access because it requires a subscription to access these full text journals. The CCSU pays for this database access for it, and you're paying for it through fees. That's why we're able to get access to all of this. You can see the keywords here that were chosen for the article, and that could be helpful to you to borrow from, to perhaps use those keywords yourself to expand your search and look for more information. And you can actually see that in addition to the abstract for this article, the entire text of the article shows up in HTML format right here. That's not necessarily the best format for us to download, so we would want to go over and get the PDF if we wanted to hold on to the journal. Let's go back. And you can keep looking on down through. I want to draw your attention to a few journals that come up. Urban Education is a very good journal that's published related to urban education issues. There's another one of those open ones. I'm suggesting that we avoid those. Literacy research. There are more journals out there than I can possibly even identify, and they're not all high quality. So one thing that you can do by using a database like Sage is you can be pre-screening to be getting the highest quality research coming back. Here is the review of educational research, and if you recall from things I've told you before, that's an excellent journal for accessing formal literature reviews that are published as articles. It's a great place to start if you're wanting to investigate a particular topic. It'll cue you into the state of the field literature that's available on that. Let's see, Education and Urban Society, another good journal on Urban Issues, Journal of Hispanic Higher Ed, Transformative Education, and you can just keep going. You can see there are a lot of search results that come up. Basically what you want to do with a particular set of terms is sometimes you'll put terms in and they won't bring up what you're interested in, and that's probably an indication that you don't have quite the right search terms that you're using yet. So sometimes you have to experiment with the language a little bit. So again, this one, Sage Premier, and the first one I showed you, Education Sage Full Text, are good ones to use. If we go back out to the library homepage, I want to show you another database. I'm going to go back in here again, a general one that can also be useful. It'll sometimes bring up some things that don't come up in the more specialized databases. If you click on the A link, Academic Search Premier is a general database, but it covers a lot of publications. So this can be a useful place to use, a useful one to use. And if you see the interface that comes up, since it's by EBSCOhost, looks exactly like the one for education full text that we looked at before. I'm going to put in the same language that we did on culturally relevant teaching, put in the same limits. We'll see if we get some different looking information that comes up. And go back to search. And you can look through these search results. Sometimes they're going to come from what you'll find in Academic Search Premier might be journals that aren't as well known, aren't as popular, aren't published by some of the big publishers, or maybe you'll get some reports, government documents, other types of things that'll come up in here. It doesn't necessarily mean that that information is poor. It just may mean that it's a little bit harder to find and isn't the top of the line, most recognizable research on a topic. For some topics that aren't as well researched, these are the places that you sometimes need to go. You can see the search results are set up just the same way they were for education, Sage, full text. So those are the basics of how to use these databases. This will get you started, and as you work through them, you'll learn more and more about how they work. In addition to the databases, I also suggest not totally ignoring what's available on the conventional internet. So a Google search or a Google Scholar search can sometimes also bring up things that you might not find elsewhere. But the first two databases I showed you are definitely places you want to go to find the highest quality research that's available on topics that you might be interested in. And do remember what I said earlier, that you will sometimes need to work at it for a while and try different combinations of search terms to essentially unlock the literature that's there. That's it for this tutorial. Good luck.